So in this episode of Toolbox Talks, I'm going to talk to you about a scenario which I'm going through, which is a bit of a grind actually. And the reason why I am telling you about this situation specifically is because I wouldn't want to see anyone else fall into this scenario, and it was completely avoidable. So stay tuned.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the Site Shed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
Hello and welcome to Toolbox Talks. So my name is Matt Jones, and today I'm going to talk to you about a scenario which I recently found myself in, which is completely counterproductive, stressful, potentially costly, and just a complete grind, to be honest. So I'm going to have to omit the finer details due to legal reasons. However, I'm going to give you a good overview of what's happened here, and hopefully at the end you can get some takeaways from it, which you can employ into the way you operate. So the scenario is I had a friend who had a business that offered a service that I was using another company for. I had engaged another company and I was using them, and it was perfectly fine. Everything I was doing there was great. But at the end of the day, I didn't have a relationship with them. So out of the genuine goodness of my heart, I wanted to offer that money to my friend, obviously, because I thought, you know what, I'd rather pay him than pay somebody else. So that's what I did. I went and sat down with him and told him, listen, you know what, I'm already paying this company this to be doing this. I'd rather pay it to you because you're a mate and I've known you for a while. And that made sense to both of us at that point in time. So we went ahead and did that. And then one thing after another, these problems started arising. And before we know it, we're pretty much in full-blown battle. So the problems that arose. Firstly, the agreement was verbal and there were no contracts. Secondly, they never made any mention of any costs relating to anything other than the services that we discussed and agreed on within our meeting. As far as I knew, everything was services included. Thirdly, despite multiple requests, I couldn't get invoiced until 18 months down the track. Number 5, their communication was completely substandard. At one point, taking 9 months to reply to an email. Number 6, they utterly refused to talk about anything. They wouldn't return phone calls. They wouldn't answer phone calls. It was just really painful. And lastly, they were completely unreliable. And there are multiple scenarios, which I can't talk about, but really dropped the ball, which at the end of the day is why I had to can them and stop using them. So what they did, they sent me an invoice 18 months down the track, which was 6 times the amount that it was supposed to be. The invoice included costs that I had never agreed to and we'd never had any communication about at any point. So what I did, I told them I'm happy to pay for the work that I had asked for, which they actually rejected. So I then made them a without prejudice offer, which was considerably more than I owed them, but I just didn't want to have to take this matter to court. And then they rejected that again. So it looks like that will be going to court, which I'm fine with because we've pretty much done everything at our end. And then the lessons to be learnt. So don't engage people because they're your friends. I mean, what a total mistake that was. I was totally fine where I was with the service that I was getting. For some reason, I just thought, you know what, I'd like to give this opportunity to somebody that I know. It makes sense because, if I'm giving that money to a company anyway, it may as well go to, a friend. That was a mistake. Don't give in to bullies. So it's quite obvious that once I'd fired them, they wanted to get one back on me. And I guess they must have thought by sending a letter of demand, I was going to back down. Seek legal advice where you need to and defend yourself if you're in the right. There's nothing wrong with defending yourself. Don't back down on people. Always have a contract drawn up. Any professional organisation should have a contractual agreement or numerous contractual agreements in place that outline the work and the associated costs that are to be undertaken. If you come across a company that doesn't have those documents in place, then my advice would be to walk away. Clearly not professional, and as I've found out, it can lead to a lot of grief. The other good thing about having a contract in place is obviously it outlines all of the expectations and it gets everything out in the open so there's no surprises. Always communicate. Don't refuse to talk to people. Don't refuse to take phone calls or return phone calls or don't not answer emails. Like address confrontation when it occurs and resolve it on the spot. You may have heard the saying before, never go to bed on an argument. It's exactly the same in business. Like just get things out in the open and address it as it happens. Invoice on time. If they had have invoiced me during the first month, we would never have had this scenario. I would have realised the problem straight away and I would have been addressed and I would have disengaged their services immediately and then we wouldn't have had this problem at all. Don't be dishonest. It's simple. Just run a legitimate, honest business. Communicate with people and don't try and rip people off. Doesn't matter what you do. Just be honest with people. Keep track of your communications, even conversations. Don't leave anything to chance. If you have to come back from a meeting, take a note somewhere in your diary or your calendar of what you were speaking about, just so you have a record of it. On that note, you shouldn't need to delete emails. Don't get in the habit of deleting emails, just archive them. Deleting emails is dangerous because then you're deleting your records of conversations. But if you archive emails, then they should always be there if you need them. So the reason that I share this with you is so that hopefully you can learn from it and you can avoid similar situations in the future. If you can take a few simple precautions and invest a little energy at the beginning, it could potentially save you a lot of grief. That's all for this episode of Toolbox Talks. I hope you got something out of that. And if you haven't already, please head across to the siteshed.com where you can subscribe. You'll get sent podcasts just like these straight to your inbox. Likewise, if you can head across to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review, that would be absolutely fantastic. You have no idea how much it helps. And look, if there's anyone you know that would benefit from the work we do and the content we create, then please go ahead and share it with them. We greatly appreciate it. So if you haven't already, head across to the siteshed.com and register for our Toolbox Talks, where you'll be regularly sent great episodes just like this straight to your inbox, so you'll never miss one. If you want to join the community, you can head across to thesiteshed.com/members, where for a small monthly fee, you'll get access to regularly updated training material, as well as access to our forum where you can mingle and collaborate with trade-based business owners just like you from all over the world. If you're enjoying this podcast, please head across to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review. We greatly appreciate it, and it helps us spread the word and reach the masses. Likewise, if you know anyone that might benefit from the content we create, then please go ahead and share this with them.
You've been listening to Toolbox Talks by The Site Shed. For more great content just like this, head across to thesiteshed.com and join the amazing community of savvy trade-based business owners.